What's up? I'm pulling into a piece of public that I've been eyeballing for a little bit. I found it on the map as soon as my wife and I moved to Missouri from Tennessee a few months ago, and I did come out and turkey hunted once. And when I say turkey hunted, I carried a shotgun and a turkey tag, and I was mostly looking for deer sign. I was able to find some sign from last year, but I didn't go too crazy because I really only had a couple days to be out here. And so anyway, my scouting has to extend into the summertime. So reason I'm making this video, we've had 4 days of rain, and it hasn't rained in the last 24 to 36 hours. And so I feel like the deer have probably had plenty enough time to walk around and leave me some sign, because all I'm really looking for on this property is just deer sign. Primary goal of the year is knock some does down and get some meat in the fridge or the freezer. When we moved here back in March, we weren't bringing any more deer meat because we had eaten it all, because last year I didn't kill that many deer. So that sucked. Not planning on having an empty freezer that early in the year next year. So biggest goal is knocking some deer down, and then outside of that, I'd really love to find a nice buck this year, as we all would every year. So anyway, back to the point of this video. Spot's been raining on for the last few days, and all I'm looking for is deer sign as far as what they're doing right now, and I'll be able to pattern that into early season. Generally, most people wouldn't want to be out scouting this late in the year, this close to September. It's the middle of July, but key fact about this spot is it's the Missouri Department of Conservation is awesome, and they plant some sunflower fields in this area, and so a lot of guys come out and dove hunt it, which is great to have a spot on public that you come dove hunt. It's awesome. But what that means is there's a lot of foot traffic on the field edges in early September. That doesn't bother me. That just means that deer are either going to be used to that pressure or expect it, or their sign that they're leaving on the field edges is probably going to shift in early September. They're going to back into the woods. But again, all I need to know is where the sign is right now, and kind of develop a strategy on where the deer are at. And I'll show you how I enter this property, and kind of like my access points right now, and what the vegetation looks like. And then I'll kind of explain what I think is going to happen later on into the season once it gets going. But it's about 5:30 now. I'm going to go ahead and get to walking, and I'll show you my general plan on how I go about properties like this when you can't scout it from the road. There's no way to see anything, and you could get in here and hang up in a tree and glass that way. But even though I'm out here walking around hanging cameras and stuff, I don't really like to do that, because nice buck sees me in a tree and I get spooked, and or I spook the deer. I just taught him something a little too early, so I'd rather not do that until I can carry my bow and a tag. So anyway, that's enough rambling. I'm going to show you how my strategy is for finding just general deer sign in the summertime, and how I'm going to plan to use that information once the season comes around. So I'll check in a minute. All right, I'm not going to spend too much time in this spot. I hung a camera up here a few weeks ago, and hang on a second. I hung a camera up here a few weeks ago, and it's just off this cornfield here. And I just want you to see I don't know how well this camera picks up the sun, but you got trails running all over there. I don't know how well you can see that over there. It's just beat down like crazy. Back here you have a creek, and out that way you have another big grass field. And the highway, or the gravel road, is about 400 yards past that point. So when I scouted this spot out in turkey season, back up this way it gets real thick, and after that real thick spot turns into a bunch of oaks, real open. That's where I could definitely tell people been deer hunting in. So this is kind of like a transition area between corn, water, thick acorns. I don't know if I want to be on this side or that side in between the thick and the acorns. Early season, I think I want to be closer to the corn and the water, but we'll figure out. I jumped a deer out of the corn when I was coming across it back there. So there's definitely deer bedded up in this area. So I'm gonna climb up here. My camera's right there. I'm gonna climb up and check it. So I'll let these helium sticks, you can just put them on these little limbs and I'll bounce up to that one. And 2 sticks, I'll get that camera down. And I'll check it out, and if it's got something on there, either way I'm gonna pull it out of this spot. Because there's some old rubs in the area. Not from last year, older than that. So I know bucks have traveled in here. I've already bumped a deer. So I'm gonna pull this camera out, check it, and head over to a different spot. And it's kind of like this. It's close to a field edge, so it's easy to get into. Then I'll probably hang it there and probably scoot on out of here, and probably not come back until opening day and check those cameras. I might come back before that. I might come back. Actually, what I'll probably do is I'll check this one. I'm going to rehang it in another spot, and I've got one more camera that I already know where I'm going to hang it. And I'll probably check them the opening afternoon of dove season when there's a bunch of noise and people out here. I'll probably use that to my advantage, check them, and then not come back until opening day. But yeah, this spot looks great. I know there's deer using it. I don't know what's on that trail camera, but it doesn't matter. I'm definitely going to be hunting here sometime in early season. I just got to figure out a better way to access it. I'm thinking this creek. I know there's a parking spot about maybe 700 yards, which it's closer, just park on the gravel, but there's a parking spot that way, cuts through that field on a cut path, so you can get in quiet, and I'm not really worried about deer seeing me over there. And then I could dip down in this creek and then kind of come up the creek and jump straight up into a stand. That creek ain't but 25 yards away, so that'd probably be the quietest way in. But regardless, I'm gonna get this camera down and I'll get out of here, because if that deer that I jumped wants to come back to bed, I don't want it to catch me. So anyway, I'll check in with you at the next spot. That's a pretty cool find. Looks like they're coming somewhere from in here and feeding right there. My trail camera was just back that way, and didn't really yield me any good pictures, but we've got some deer sign in here. We got tracks, we got feed. So looks like there might be some more corn knocked down in there. Anyway, I'm gonna slip into this timber line right here, hang a camera on the edge, and then I'm bouncing it on out of here. There's some more of that corn. I just popped out of this cornfield and I found a cool spot. I'll show you. It's nice and open here where they ran this disc around before they planted that. And there's some cool trees that you could definitely be in on this edge. And I would love to hunt it. But more than likely, someone else is going to be in this spot because it's too easy. So we know, if you look at the tracks, know the deer coming out of here. They're going right this way into this corn. That last video where the corn was eaten up in there, it's right through there. I don't know if you can tell, but there's more knocked down all through there. So they're coming through here and going into this field. It'd be super easy to hunt right on this trail and get up in one of these trees. And if it's on opening day, I'd do it if I got here first. But more than likely, they're going to continue to feed until it's cut. But once hunting pressure starts and someone gets spotted in that tree, the strategy is going to be figuring out where they're coming from to get into this corn. If it's still standing, they're probably bedding up in it, and then you're going to catch them going back to bed. And if they catch somebody in this tree, they're going to hang out in that corn until after dark, until they watch it, the guy or gal climb down. So here's where it's important to start trying to figure out where they're sleeping at. And what I'm going to do is slip back in here, try to find some sign, and hang a camera on whatever I find. Because if I hang a camera out here, I know I'm probably going to see some deer, but probably going to see some guys too. and my camera may or may not make it out of here in my pocket instead of someone else's. So anyway, but the good thing is it's nice to find some sign and know where the deer are currently at, and try to make a plan for next year, or not next year, but during the season. So I'm gonna slip in these woods and try to be quiet and see what I can't find. So obviously they're running this fence line. If I could trust it, I'd love to leave the camera sitting on it, but I can't. What I'm gonna do is run the edge of this field along this trail. Let's try to figure out where they're crossing at, because obviously them deer can jump it, but apparently they're not doing that. So I'm gonna try to figure out where they're crossing at, and once I figure that out, that's going to be my strategy of where I'm going to hang, or plan on hanging a setup. Try to catch these deer coming to and from this field, because obviously everyone's going to want to sit on that corner where it looks nice and easy to shoot them, but I can almost guarantee you that it's probably only going to want to work once. If you're the first guy in that spot, that's good, but I probably ain't going to be that guy. So anyway, I'm going to keep following it, see what I find. It's a really good bed right there. There's tracks in it, there's corn in it. So one of them's definitely bedding right here on the edge, so take that as a lesson. You think you're going to sneak in through this corner and hunt the field edge. You're probably not. About to slip right back in here. Try to find sign where they're coming out of these woods or going into them, and that'll be easier to get into than hunting this field edge. Okay, so if you see behind me, that's that grassy field and that thick grass funnel where that trail was right beside. That was about 30 yards or so, 20 yards from that bed. There's a funnel real tight, and I found a couple beds in there. Didn't take any video, and then this opens up big field. This hill drops off. So I just want to show you my strategy. I'm going to try to hunt right beside that bed early in the season. What I'm going to do is I'm going to park out there. I'm going to use that hill. I'm going to walk through this grass field. Could get busted, but that's about the only option I got. And I'm going to come up here. I'm going to dip in these woods. I'm going to show you what these woods are like. Think about this, it's July now, so they're going to clear out as the season goes. But there's that edge and that cornfield. I'm about 100 yards from it. And I can jump in here and I can just go this way. Obviously if I got a good wind, I can come out of this field right here, dip into these woods, and just scurry on down. And then there's a little creek that goes back this way, and that bed is right over there. I can be a whole lot more quiet walking in this stuff when it's early, and I can come in, and it's just a strategy. Who knows if it'll work out or not? We'll find out. But instead of coming up through that corn and jumping deer like I did today, I'm going to have to come from back here when the wind's right, dip off into these woods where it's nice and quiet, and I can move tree to tree and then get close to that bed, close enough to where I can see in it, and then scurry up a tree real quiet. That's a good thing about these helium sticks and this saddle setup. It's quick, it's quiet, it's easy. So I'm going to try to see if there's a spot in here that I can put up a trail camera. But I don't know if I'll get one up in here. But the good thing is long before they had trail cameras, is they relied on finding tracks, general sign like beds and rubs and scrapes, and then just seeing the deer. I've jumped deer, so I kind of seen them. I've found beds, found tracks, found where they're running. So if I don't get a camera up, I'll be all right. So I'm just going to scurry back up this way, find where I'm going to plan on entering this field or this timber, And then I'm gonna back out and go to my next spot. I'll actually show you here. Show you how I got in here. I hate spiders. So this is that field I'm talking about. There's parking lots over there and over there. And what this does is, I'll go ahead and walk down here and show you. Good measure. It's probably better that I stay out of that timber anyway. You can see maybe this kind of slopes off. So my strategy would be to hang in this parking lot back here and walk up and just kind of follow this tree line and come up this way, and at some point jump in them woods right there. That opening is out there where that cornfield is. So I'm actually gonna keep walking, and I'm gonna dip back in right there, and I'm gonna follow this tree line that way, try to find sign where they're running when this is nice and thick and all dead out in the fall. And my playing in the fall is gonna be on that side, because I feel like that side's about the furthest away from the truck, any kind of parking, and it's not that appetizing if you look at it from a map. Speaking from experience, I've always, in my years learning, I've always wanted to go to the easier spots to get to, the ones that look kind of, I guess, ideal if you're watching, you know, any kind of old school hunting DVD, field edge on some timber, got a crop field. I mean, that's what I'm looking at back there. But I know on public, that's only good for a real short amount of time, and then it gets hunted out quick. So I've kind of got about 4 spots generally similar to what I showed you today out on this one piece of property, and I'm generally thinking that I might get 3 or 4 hunts on that type of setup that would yield me any kind of deer, buck or a doe, and then I think they'll chill out running it. So now what I'm doing is I'm walking down here, and you can see it's a real thin line of trees, and then it connects back into another one. It's all public, of course, and I'm gonna run up to that, try to find a spot to set up. But as you can see, there's some thick stuff that ain't very fun to walk through when it's green. Won't be that bad when it all dies out, but some pretty cool spots up in here. Another thing you could do too in the early season, you can get up in that tree right there, never have to go through this. You just got to figure out a way to get to this without bumping everything out. But the good part is this is so high. My main concern would be noise and scent. But when this stuff is taller than me, it's kind of hard to be seen. So about the only deer it's gonna see you is if you walk right by one's bed. So that's why it's good to get out here times like now and take note of their beds. Because I'll show you, I just walked through one. Big matted down spot. So that tells me it wouldn't be a good idea to follow this tree line if I was gonna hunt that specific setup. So get out, walk around. It might not go how you planned. Sort of like my day. I was planning on having 3 cameras up by now. Or sorry, checking 1 and hanging 2. But it's obviously not working out that way, which is alright because I learned a couple things. So here, we're getting up in another bedding area. So these deer are smart. I don't know how long this spot's been public for, but it's obviously been public long enough for them to know how people are going to access it. So here's what I like. We've got this thick little tree line here. It's I guess thick's not the right word, but it's brushy. It's not very many big good trees to hunt in. So a lot of people ain't gonna pay attention to it. And I probably ought not to be showing you my strategy, but my strategy, I mean, it ain't like I've got a bunch of huge bucks on the wall, so it might not be that good yet. But anyway, I like these. Bunch of thick stuff out in here. So, and then it turns into timber here. So it's really a matter of, this is one of them spots where once the leaves start falling off, I'll focus more on it, because it'll be more one of them spots where I get up in it and I kind of see what's going on while I'm hunting and make a better strategy if where I picked to hunt that time, make a better strategy on where to hunt next time. Because that's, I don't know about y'all, but that's where most of my scouting is during the season. But check this out. Look, got a good trail going right into what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, they're going to use this stuff to cross open country. Daylight or not, they're going to use it. So I might actually go ahead and put a camera up in here, because I don't know how many people are checking this spot. If it gets stolen, it gets stolen, but generally pretty good people out here on public, so we'll just hope for the best. But check this stuff out. It's cool. Unless it's covered up in beds. Another thing you could do, and it's kind of hard to tell, this looks like it could be beds. It's kind of hard to tell. It'd be a good vantage point for sure, but if you find a spot that ain't covered in beds, you can use this to access to. So, real cool looking spot. Anyway, I'm gonna find a cool spot to hang a camera up, and I'll be moving on and getting on out of here. It's getting closer to 6:30 now. I'm planning on trying to get out of here by 7:30, because that's about 2 hours before dark right now. And that's about when I imagine them start walking around. So I'm gonna find a spot to see if I can't get a camera up, and I'm gonna boot. Lots of tracks, mostly doe tracks, but I'm looking for buck tracks, looking for those dew claws as I work my way out. Looks like a lot of the tracks are about 3 rows into the corn. But when I jumped that deer earlier, I was walking through the corn for cover. I was making so much noise doing that. That's what jumped that deer, I think. Because he never saw me, never smelled me. I can guarantee you that. So I'm trying to stay on the edge where I can, and look for sign as I walk out. This is telling me kind of what I expected. Deer are obviously going to run down this corn. There's a good one. They're obviously going to run down this corn. I'm sure a lot of that, if it hadn't already, is going to change to happening after dark. So I took some Onyx notes on where they were looking the busiest, and what I'll do is I'll plan on working my way from the woods out to the field once season gets in, and trying to line up with that inside the woods and try to catch them when they're going out. Anyway, I just keep looking for sign as I walk out, and you never know, something might pop up. Real thick, real thick. here in turkey season. Check this spot out. And it's definitely staying busy. This will definitely be a cool spot to hunt in. You can see where it transitions right behind me into this cornfield. So they come out of here. It's all thick right in there. And you can use this as a spot to catch them right before they're going to go out, because what they're going to do is they're going to hang out here. And they're going to hang out in this little open transition area and use it as a good place to look for anything out to get them. If they don't look up, then I might be getting them. Once season gets going and that starts dying out, I'll be looking more in there, because this is a little easier spot to find, so people might already know about this, but that looks real thick, which is where I'd like to be. But check this out. That tree right there, where it branches out, be an awesome place to hunt that trail that goes back in there. Going out into this. Again, I hate getting in the woods this close to season, but it makes a huge difference when you have at least a game plan on where you're going to sit. You might not exactly know all the deer that's in the area, but knowing where you're going to sit is a huge benefit to at least get started in hunting season. There's old rub right over there too. So yeah, this area is definitely frequented by deer. It's too pretty to not have any other humans know about it though, so it's definitely a spot I'll take note of, and I'll probably work further back into the thick, because once the pressure gets on, this spot's going to still look this good, but them deer, say they're bedding that way in that thick stuff, they're going to take longer to get from there to here. So that'll be the strategy. I'm on my way out. I'm about to get out in this cornfield and hug the edge, and I'm going to get back to my truck. I'm not going to be hanging any more cameras today. Just not enough spots out here that are not just covered in brush that I can hang a camera up in, and the spots that aren't, it's too easy for that thing to wind up missing. So anyway, but we learned a lot, found a lot of good spots today. If I just so happen to find somewhere to hang a camera on my way out, I will. But other than that, I think we're going to call it a wrap for scouting this spot till season gets in. Right here, I just bumped a deer out. I'm going to keep walking. There might be more. Find his track, but it jumped right through this. I don't love bumping deer. It's not my favorite thing, but sometimes that just kind of goes with the scouting. It just kind of happens sometimes. Good news is, bumped it out of the corn. So that's 2 deer I bumped out of the corn today while walking through it. So that tells me right now, at least, they're bedding in the corn. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop an onyx right there. And I'm going to notate this. Bumped out of corn. PM. I don't know if you can see that, but it says bumped out of the corn PM. So whenever I'm evaluating what I'm going to do in the hunt season, I'm going to remember that note. And check this out. That's a wicked tree that's going to eventually start dropping leaves. But what I'm going to do is, see, there's not a lot of options in here, which is why I'm positive that deer are going to be back up in this area once the season gets going. Nobody's going to want to come all the way back here. There's one, it's thick. And 2, there aren't a lot of places to set up. Check out this corner. Check that out. Believe it or not, I'd be willing to trowel through that and set up right in there. Guarantee you, most folks ain't gonna do that. So anyway, I've bumped a couple deer out of the corn, and I've seen more sign over here than anywhere else, and it's this area that's the biggest tree I've seen so far, real thick, and then you got some more trees down here. I'm gonna keep on skirting this edge and try to get on out of here and not bump anything else. But again, didn't get any new trail cameras hung up, but learned plenty, so I'll know what to start with. But I won't be back until September 15th, and got some really good ideas on where to hunt. Just got to play the wind and see what everyone else is doing. You can see it's just a thin tree line. That deer ran right through there. She's probably already bedded back down somewhere else, or at least standing there looking for me. So I'm going to show her that I'm walking out and leave her alone. Alright, so quick recap of my day. Covered about 6 miles in about 3 hours. So I was moving pretty quick. That's why I'm covered in sweat and out of breath. Oh, that's a big tick. Look at that. I'm gonna hop out and flick that bad boy off of me. Anyway, let me put the truck in. He's gone. I'm sure I'm covered in them. Anyway, back to the video. I found lots of sign, seen several deer. Unfortunately, the deer that I seen, they were scared of me, so that wasn't great. But like I said, that's kind of part of scouting in later in the summer. But you gotta do what you gotta do. Spooking deer, I didn't get back in the woods and hang any more cameras. I pulled the one that I had out because I guess the angle that I had it too high in the tree and it wasn't catching any movement. I guess in the 2 weeks, it's possible that nothing walked by that tree. But the amount of sign that was on that tree and the trails, how knocked down they were, I think that my camera wasn't pointing in the right direction or something, because there's a lot of deer sign, and that's where I spooked one of the deer out of, is that area. So anyway, where the camera was, just about 60 yards from where the camera was, and then about, I'd say maybe 5 or so more spots on the way out. I saw really good sign, I saw deer. So I would say the first couple weeks of season, with how often I'll get to hunt, I'll have plenty of spots to change it up every day and just kind of go off of what I'm seeing while I'm hunting. So anyway, learn some, get out there, doesn't matter. You know, I hate bumping deer. That's not what I'm out here trying to do, to see them. But you know, sometimes, you know, this kind of situation where I've moved to a new state, got really busy getting our house squared away and doing stuff like that. So this is about as early as I've been able to get out and do some real scouting. So do what you got to do. At the end of the day, it's you against yourself. You're trying to fill up a freezer or find a big buck. So it's all public land, it belongs to all of us. So just do what you got to do to get out there and find some sign and make a game plan to get set up. This will probably be my most frequented spot in September during the weekdays. I don't know how heavy the pressure is out here during the week. I'm sure weekends it's got quite a bit of hunters just because of how accessible it is. Gravel roads all around it, so it's not that hard to find, and it's marked up pretty good, and it's got corn all over it. So I know people are going to be here on Saturdays and Sundays. There's another spot that's just a little bit further from my house than this one. This one's only half an hour drive, so that's not that bad for me. There's another spot a little further that doesn't have agriculture on it. It's on the river. It's real swampy. Lots of spots get flooded during the season. Not the whole property, but many spots do get water. So that spot's actually where I'm going to spend more of my time looking for a buck. I'm sure there's plenty of bucks out here, but I just don't see it being the spot that I'm going to kill a big buck in. So anyway, that's okay. I've been mainly looking for does and just general deer sign. Found it, mission accomplished out here. I'm not going to come back until the first time I hunt. Since it's so close, you know, sun doesn't go down till about 9 o'clock these days. In September it'll be a little earlier, but it goes down pretty late in my neck of the woods. So Monday through Friday after work, I'll be probably hunting out here on the days that I'm able. And then weekends I'll be at this other spot. This other spot, I turkey hunted it once, got on some turkeys, didn't seal the deal, but very hilly terrain on one side, and then, like I said, it drops off on the bluff and gets real swampy. The hill terrain's nice and pretty open, but deer probably moving through there more in the afternoons. So like I did here with my Onyx, I marked several spots that I would think from an aerial view would hold deer, and those spots are all transition areas. So I'll probably, I hadn't decided yet if I'm going to go out there and scout it before season. I'm leaning more towards not, to be honest, because it's July 19th today. So less than 2 months, less than 60 days until the season. So honestly, I don't have very many free weekends left, maybe 1 or 2 between now and then. And we're going to be doing baby stuff, getting ready for the child. So I probably will not check that spot out. So I will likely not have any videos of that spot before season gets here, which is all right, because you kind of seen, hopefully I did a decent job of showing you what I do before season on how I scout. But that'll be good. That'll show you kind of what I'm used to doing when I don't have necessarily boots on the ground approach before season, when I'm more going in once hunting season gets here and planning on going from there. That'll be pretty good for me to film it and learn from it myself. That's kind of the point. The reason I'm doing all these is because I know some of my buddies that are better at hunting than me will probably hopefully watch it and let me know what they think that I could have done better there. But I'll also watch it myself, and it'd be cool to watch it from a different perspective, because when you're walking through the woods, you're filming it, you're kind of thinking of right then and there and what looks good to you, and like maybe like situations like today where I saw those deer, thinking, okay, I'll drop a point right here where I've seen these deer, and because I'm seeing it right then and there, I'm watching it run. But from a different perspective, like watching this video on a computer, you might notice something because you're not in the moment. You're not feeling the adrenaline rush of seeing, you know, deer right in front of you. You might see something that I didn't. And so when I watch it back, I might notice that too. So it's actually pretty cool doing this. So anyway, there I go rambling again. I'm gonna get home, save all these videos, and edit them later and post it up. So this won't be obviously posted on July 20th, but I'm gonna get it up and kind of give my first crack at an early season preseason scouting video, and there'll be plenty more to come, and I'll get better at it. But all right, thanks for learning with me. Next video I'll post probably some little tips on how I get my gear ready for hunting season, because it's a big thing for me is getting the gear ready so I don't have to worry about it once season comes around the corner. You don't want to still be trying to figure out what broadheads or arrows or whatever. You don't want to be trying to figure out what kind of equipment you're going to hunt with when season comes around. So figure it out early, set yourself up for success, and yeah, I'll be